What is going on, guys? It is Monday, January 11th, and it's time for my news radar. So guys, it's another pretty light news day. We are finally heading into CES, but nothing's really quite happened yet. Hopefully there'll be plenty more news in the next couple of days, but for now, still kind of a light day. One of the things that has come out early out of this sort of news cycle starting is a little teaser for LG's upcoming rollable phone. So we have all these companies now rumored to be making this style design. We've obviously seen the Z Folds and the Z Flips that are folding OLED screens, Moto, Razer as well. But this is another kind of design that we've seen rumored from Samsung, LG. I believe TCL's got one in the works as well. And what this thing does is actually really cool, and every time I see a video or a GIF of this thing in action, it honestly just looks like magic to me, and there's really no way to explain it without just showing it to you. So let's pop over here to this view, and you'll see what this thing is all about. So when it's fully expanded, you've got a little mini tablet, and then when it shrinks down like that, it shrinks down to the size of a pretty normal phone. And what it does is the screen actually rolls behind the frames. When it expands, it's just rolling out. When it contracts, it's rolling back inside itself. So the rumors that we're seeing here on this LG phone is 7.4 inches for the full display, so quite large, and the aspect ratio there is different as well. So it can be in 3 different modes, apparently, depending on where the motorized sliding action stops. So you have a 20:9 aspect ratio, so that's your normal tall, slender phone, as you see at the end of the video there. Then you have a video mode, which will basically bring it up part of the way, so that now 16:9 video would fill up the entire display, and then it would go out even further to be basically a 3:2 aspect ratio, which is much better for productivity and things like that. If you're a Surface Duo user, the screen, each screen is a 3:2 aspect ratio. So if you look at that video, that looks to be about accurate. Obviously, Snapdragon 888, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 4200 milliamp hour battery, which is probably sufficient. The other part of this rumor, though, is that this thing could be anywhere between, I've seen up to $2,500. So they're saying $2,359. I've seen even higher than that. This thing is going to be very expensive. And in all the leaks and all the little demonstrations that they've given, we've not gotten to see the back of this thing to know what the camera modules are going to look like. We're not really getting a side angle either to know what the thickness of this thing is. We're not really getting a whole lot in terms of those details. You can see here in this video, you can see that sliding mechanism there. And this thing looks really cool. Like I said, in this video, it looks like magic. So I've already covered the Oppo version of this sort of thing not that long ago. I really like this design. I think it's really cool. And obviously there's a few problems here. So screen protectors, not going to work. With any folding OLED screen, what kind of material is this made of? How scratch resistant is this thing going to be? Durability. I'm not really concerned with the motorization aspect of it. I get a lot of comments from people saying, oh, well, when the motor fails, I'm not really that worried about that, because in my house we have several phones with motorized pop-up cameras, and people said the same things about those, and they didn't really fail. So I think people can make motors that work pretty well at this point. I'm not really worried about that. I'm more worried about the durability of the screen. I'm not a big screen protector user. I had a screen protector on my first Surface Duo. After I had to factory warranty this thing out, I did not put another screen protector back on it because I hate applying screen protectors. It makes me very unhappy to have to do. And my Surface Duo has absolutely no scratches at all on the screen. I generally have had good luck without running screen protectors. So maybe that's just me. I know a lot of you guys want to have a screen protector, and that's going to be something that'll put you off. Something that'll put you off in terms of LG's rolling phone. So let's talk about a device by HP that is finally unveiled, that they've hinted at for a while, that I think is actually really, really cool. So this is HP's take on something like the Surface Pro X. It's running the new Snapdragon 8CX Gen 2 chip, which is very similar to the SQ2. And if you get a look at this thing, you get Surface vibes off of it pretty much immediately. You've got a big screen, very small bezels. I actually think the front of this device might look better than the Surface in those terms. And then what's cool about it is this in here where the keyboard is will detach, and you can then sort of set it in this posture or whatever. This looks like leather back there in the back. And there's a little compartment there for a little slim pin. This is very Surface-esque. So in addition to that HCX system on a chip, you get 16 gigs of RAM, 512 SSD, up to 24.5 hours of local video playback. Seems pretty solid. And that little slim pin actually does charge when it's in that cradle. This thing looks really pretty cool. Now, it's unclear. It doesn't look to me as though this thing can actually come apart. It's more just the way that you can fold it in these different postures, which is fine for me. I very rarely detach my Surface Pro from the keyboard. A lot of the time what I'll do is I'll basically fold it back around and have the kickstand on the back of it. And so, that really doesn't bother me. I just think it's a really cool looking design. And I'm pleased to see other companies try and do things like this. We actually just saw just the other day where Lenovo is releasing an Android tablet that has a very Surface-esque design, which we won't go super deeply into, but it reminds me of the Chromebook Duet that we have, but it's running Android. Pretty cool looking device. I like the design. I like the style of device. So let's close things up with actually talking about the Surface Pro line. So we've had rumors for months now about a Surface Pro 8. We had specs, we had prices, we had all these things. Well, it turns out, guys, all those rumors were kind of wrong. It is not the Surface Pro 8. It is the Surface Pro 7 Plus, and this thing is basically intended for the education and the enterprise markets. But all those rumors that we talked about over the last few months, that was not the Surface Pro 8, which actually is really exciting to me. I'm going to leave the specs here on the screen, and you can kind of go over them yourself. It's pretty basic stuff. It's stuff I've covered repeatedly at this point. It's kind of exciting to me because if this was the Surface Pro 8, then it was going to be actually a really boring device because this just really didn't have much going on. It looked identical to the Surface Pro 7 and it just seemed boring. So maybe now the Surface Pro 8 is actually coming, and maybe it'll actually be an evolution on the Surface Pro line, because now we really don't know what is going on with the Surface Pro 8 because we thought this was it. I guess the biggest difference here might be the ability to change your storage there like on the Surface Pro X, but otherwise it's a small spec bump, not a big change. We've already talked about it a lot. So I'm going to close this episode up with something that isn't really news but might be interesting to you guys. I have started a Discord server for Scary If Literal. So if you go over to the Twitter account, you'll see a tweet I made about it. I will put a link to the Discord server in the description down below. If you click on it, you can join that server. And basically what you're going to see there are several different categories where we're going to be talking about the Surface Duo and things like that. In fact, let me just show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So there you go. We've got, looks like 23 people now have joined it since yesterday whenever I made it. And we've got several different categories here. Lots of good discussions going on about apps and games. All sorts of good things going on. There's a section there for you to make suggestions to me about things that you'd like to see me cover or what have you. But at any rate, it's a good place to go to maybe get help with your Surface Duo or to just talk to other people that are Duo fans. And this will expand to other things. There's subjects people want to talk about in the Discord, gaming, things like that. Let me know in the Discord suggestions channel and I can think about adding these things in. But it's a good place to stay in touch. I will be in there, and there's, like I said, good conversation already going on there. So do take a moment and join that Discord server. I don't think that you will regret doing so. So that's all the news I have for you today. Stay tuned for news on the next Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as usual for News Radar. Hopefully the news starts to flow in more regularly now as we're getting to the new year. CES is happening. So stay tuned for all that. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.